So no one told you honest trailers was gonna put this out today. That doesn't really work. Friends is my favorite show of all time, next to Breaking Bad. I know, it's kind of weird. And Honest Trailers is one of my favorite segments on YouTube. Put the two together, this is gonna be awesome. Yeah, John's not in today. Plus, he's only seen like some of Friends. I'm a purist when it comes to the show. We'll roll back into a regular schedule tomorrow. In the meantime, let's check this out. I'm so excited.
You watched it for free on TV. Then you paid to watch the reruns on DVD. You paid to watch the reruns again on cable. And you paid to watch the reruns again on Netflix.
Now it's gonna go to HBO Max.
Get ready to pay HBO Max to watch the same reruns again. Only this time it comes with an all-new reunion special. Again. That's been indefinitely postponed. Yeah, it hasn't really been our day, or week, or month, or even our year. Friends. Welcome to turn of the century New York, where coffee shops are more than just a place to charge your phone. The sweaters are extra chunky, and the furniture etiquette is just awful. Get your feet off the couch!
No shoes on the furniture.
And meet the friends. There's Joey, an aspiring actor / human garbage disposal.
Hey, how much you give me to eat this whole jar of olives?
Cold cuts, ice
So people used to call me a human garbage disposal.
Good. Jam good.
That's not a compliment.
Monica, a chef with some seriously undiagnosed OCD.
You see these little flower blossoms? They should be facing up, not down, because, well, the head of the bed is where the sun would be. You want to put the marshmallows in concentric circles. You don't know the system. Don't be nobody messing with the system.
Her brother Ross, who goes from depressed nerd
Hi. Someone at work ate my sandwich.
to manic unstable buffoon in 10 short years.
Be careful! Very hot plate! Very hot!
You don't even have oven mitts on.
Rachel, a sentient haircut who can only speak in complaints.
My life officially sucks. So this is Brooklyn.
He made Rachel cry.
Rachel always cries.
Oh, got it wrong.
Chandler, an insecure man-child who uses humor to run away from his psychological issues.
I have issues with commitment, intimacy. I make jokes when I'm uncomfortable.
I'm hopeless and awkward and desperate for love.
And Phoebe, she's a wannabe musician with a mother who committed suicide.
My mom killed herself.
A father who
Phoebe's
abandoned
very
her.
dark,
My
yeah.
real dad's the one that ran out on us before I was born.
And a stepfather in prison,
You know how my stepdad's in prison?
causing her to grow up in the streets.
I was living in a box. I used to beg for money. Someday I'll tell you about the time I stabbed the cop.
Whose estranged identical twin stole her identity to do porn.
Pimp spit in her mouth
Using
too.
my name. And shame on you.
And the dead woman she thought was her mother wasn't actually her mother, and her real mother was alive the whole time.
I'm your mother. Eh?
You know what? This is too depressing. Let's just call her the weird one.
The only guy I've ever been crazy about is Wanda Mitz. Can have I may never see him again.
That's our Phoebe.
Jeez.
If you want to know what New York was like in the 90s, read a history book or something? I don't know. But if you want to know what a sitcom set in New York in the 90s was like, Friends is the show for you. Watch these sporadically unemployed 20-somethings live in multi-million-dollar apartments.
Yeah,
It's a good thing that
especially
there's
for
no
New York.
crime because these doors will never be locked.
We have got to start locking that door.
That would be a sensible idea. Watch as they consume some of the finest legally clearable products of the decade, like Da'ani water, Villa wafers, Diet Apple.
Whoa,
Beer,
I've never
Villa
noticed
Fire,
that.
And Sprite.
What?
All set against network TV's version
No
of New York's
way.
True Melting Pot, featuring a diverse cast of characters like. Okay, let's see here. Oh, here we go. Waiter, receptionist,
Son will be right with you.
clerk,
How can I help you?
co-worker you never see again, sassy,
I shared my pudding with you, man.
Ross dated Aisha Tyler.
and two of Ross's short-term girlfriends.
Yeah.
Come on, everybody.
Oh, and
at least
Julie,
they
yeah.
tried. Let's give them a round of applause for doing the bare minimum. Through it all, experience the ups and downs of one of TV's worst love stories, Ross and Rachel, two of the least compatible people in entertainment history. Watch this neurotic intellectual and the spoiled anti-intellectual clash as Ross likes Rachel, then Rachel likes Ross, but Ross has a girlfriend, so Ross dumps his girlfriend and dates Rachel, but they immediately break up, then get back together, then go on a break, then break up again, then Rachel decides she likes Ross again, so he dumps another girlfriend, then they immediately break up, then Rachel wants Ross back, so he says the wrong name at the altar and gets divorced, but now Ross doesn't want to get together, then they get drunkenly married in
This is
Vegas, then
epic.
divorced, then Ross gets Rachel pregnant, but they don't get back together, but also they're jealous of each other, but also they still decide not to get together. Rachel decides to move to Paris and rejects Ross, but then immediately changes her mind, and they actually do get together just in time for the series finale. Oh, what are you people cheering for? I give this thing 10 minutes tops. So settle in to binge one of the most iconic sitcoms of all time.
They probably would've
featuring
worked.
all the unforgettable moments you love.
Chandler Bob.
Regina Phalange.
Dr. Drake.
Ramore.
We were on a break!
Just know what you're signing up for, because when you watch this weekly show all at once, you start noticing things like how inexplicably horny the characters are.
That's a very sexual show.
Nice and tight. There it is. When's the dirty stuff?
Jennifer Aniston dated that
How,
guy.
cold the studio is.
Can you see my nipples through this shirt?
The thin layer of gay panic that covers everything.
Yeah.
Let your wrist go. Not so much. Whoa, hey.
What's my boy doing with the Barbie?
So how goes the dancing? Gay yet?
No, I see what you mean. That's quite nice. More food and beer. Yeah.
And the realization that every character in the show has just one reaction to literally anything that happens.
Oh my god.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh my god.
Oh my god!
Oh my god, that's true. Oh my god, it's true. There's also a lot of what? Oh my god.
Oh my god, stop it! Starring Cougar Town Origins, Bangs of New York, Ross Dress for Less, Fiona Crapple, Matt LeBlanc look on his face, The Bing Bang Theory,
Nice.
03, The Jetty, the one from Screen Junkies, Hooking Up with Relatives.
You don't kiss your friend's mom.
That's right, Hal told me that at a
Okay,
movie
that's
fight
not your
once.
sister. I fooled around with Joey's sister.
Get off my sister!
Chandler getting handsy.
I have her panties right there in my drawer. Mine is the red one. You took your eggs and you left. This is smack dab in the middle of the blue.
Capital R, capital T. I want to go through the tunnel to the other side. You're the worst best man ever. You freaked out. Don't judge me. I'm only human.
Could I be?
Could that report be any later? Could these margaritas be any stronger?
Could that shot be any prettier?
Could I?
Be wearing any more clothes?
Could I be any more turned on?
Could I be more sorry?
Bad dancing.
Most of it goes to Monica and Chandler. I know how to do the Chandler dance. This is like an epic,
Oh, come on.
long, honest trailer. It's 10 years ago span.
I know.
I know.
I know.
I know.
I know.
I know. I know.
I know.
I know.
I know.
I know. I know.
I know.
I know. I know.
Ugly naked guy.
Ugly naked guy got a thigh master.
Ugly naked guy's laying kitchen tile.
Ugly naked guy's taking his turkey out of the oven. Ugly naked guy's decorating his tree.
Ugly naked guy's using his new hammock. Ugly naked guy's got a naked friend. Ugly naked guy looks awfully still.
90s stuff.
Since when do you rollerblade?
Laserdisc marathon.
Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yasmin Bleak. Sony PlayStation?
Michael Flatley, Lord of the Dance.
Joey Buttafuoco.
Swing dance lessons.
What about those Goodwill Hunting guys?
Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan, they get
Mail
mailed.
and stuff.
Y2K back.
Chicken soup for the soul.
Which one was Deep Impact and which one was Armageddon?
Stephen Baldwin.
Mia Hamm?
Mia Hamm. Got milk.
I read about it in Maxim.
Stupid Gap on every corner.
How you doing?
How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
Guest stars.
There's Robin Williams. Yeah, there's. What about Brad Pitt? You gonna show Brad Pitt? Must be a little awkward.
And twins.
You
Got a minute?
I heard that character was in like How I Met About You.
I found my identical hand twin.
You know it's twins, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where could I find someone who looks exactly like me?
Dear white people. So, did John star in an early off-Broadway production of Interstellar?
I'm gonna get on this spaceship. But when I return, 200 years from now, you'll be long gone. But I won't have aged at all.
Fascinating.
Need more friends?
Maybe Nolan did get his
Click
idea
to
from
find
there.
more shows that'll scratch that friend's itch. And click right to hang out with your Screen Junkies friends on SJU, our daily pop culture morning show.
It's worth it.
Pivot, pivot, pivot.
Shut up.
How you doing?
Oh, that. I would think the comment boxes would have so much of Friends quotes to say. Ah, man, that was an epic one. Very long. Epic. When Honest Trailers writers, when they decide to do like a TV show one, they do watch every single episode. I don't know if every one of the writers does actually watch every episode, or if they're like, you watch this season, I'll watch this season, but they clearly did their homework because they span all of the 10 seasons here. Major credit to everyone who assembled this, because as an assembly piece, this is a lot of hard work. You got to do all the writing, you got to do all the coverage of all the episodes, and all the editing as well. Great voiceover work by John Bailey. This is an epic one. It's like over 10 minutes long. 10 seasons. It's appropriate. It's appropriate. I was kind of surprised, but I guess they didn't include Paul Rudd in the guest stars part because I don't think Paul Rudd was the Paul Rudd that he is now. Like if he guest starred on a sitcom with a live audience now and he just showed up, I'm sure the crowd would cheer for who Paul Rudd is now. But back then, I remember when he was introduced as Mike, and he was like one of the main recurring characters. He was in like most of the last season. He's in the last episode of the show. That now he would get that praise and attention. Shouts out to Paul Rudd as Mike. And it's so true with Phoebe's life, man. She did have a pretty dark life, and when you strip away the humor behind the craziness, it really is a tragic tale of Phoebe, which I find very fascinating, of how they managed to, like, we always resort to Phoebe as kind of like the wild card, kind of a bit of an airhead sort of character, but she, I mean, Lisa Kudrow is incredible in the role. I mean, the show wouldn't be complete without her. It's just funny to know that it's actually really dark stuff of what she goes through. The other thing I would add on to the reoccurring lines that they do, like the "oh my god" joke, a lot of the time a character will say something weird and then the other one will go, "What?" Friends is not exclusive to that joke, but that is a very common type of additional joke on top of a weird joke that someone has said or some weird comment that someone has said, and they go, "What?" I've been watching this show since I was a little kid. I still love the living hell out of it. The older I get, especially by the time I reach my mid-20s, which I'm still in my mid-20s, by the time I reached where I am now, the more I identify with the show. When you watch it as a kid, it's funny. Then as you get older, you start to identify more, especially in the earlier parts of the show, like the first few seasons, and really identify with that part. And yeah, they have a great point. Like the show, in a lot of ways, is like it's a sex comedy show. There's so much sexual humor in here throughout most of the episodes because they're careful with the way they formulate their language. This is like a PG version of a Judd Apatow comedy in a lot of ways. The amount of censorship they do towards vulgarity, but they're always talking about that kind of subject. And I think that's kind of just a 90s thing as well. I'm not saying it's okay, but the fact of like what they call it here, I like the word they use, gay panic, being uncomfortable with anything gay related. Yeah, that's true. That's definitely in the show, but I think I think that lasted, that kind of bit in other comedies and other shows up until like the early 2000s. It still kind of exists today, not as much. Friends was definitely no exception to that. And with the way how Ross and Rachel are, they are very toxic for each other. In TV world, like I cry at the end of the show when Ross is listening to the answering machine, the voicemail of Rachel on the plane, and he's like, "Did you get off the plane?" And then Rachel says, "I got off the plane." Like I cry whenever I get to that last moment in the show. Of course you root for them. They're Ross and Rachel. Realistically speaking, though, I don't think they would make it work. Undoubtedly, at least 5 out of 6 of them, maybe 6 out of 6, should probably go see, a therapist. But Ross and Rachel are very toxic for each other. What I find funny is in the last season, there's this whole thing where Rachel gets pregnant, they have their baby Emma. In the last season, she's almost non-existent. Ben Ross's first child becomes pretty much non-existent, and then Emma especially becomes non-existent. There's a whole debate about Rachel is offered a job in France or something. She's torn between moving to France or staying in New York, and then she ultimately chooses not to have the job and stay back in New York and be with Ross. I think there's maybe like one line brought up about Emma in that whole thing. If even that, I'm not even sure about that. It just kind of baffles me that you guys have a kid and the idea of you having a daughter, it doesn't seem to be a prevalent conversation in the whole thing of traveling between New York and Paris. Like that could be a strain on a kid for their parents to be that far separated and for the travel and everything. When I was younger, 100% everyone called me Chandler. I made a conscious choice. It was in the first season. Chandler is talking with a therapist. He's not in therapy. It's Phoebe's a guy she's dating. He points out that Chandler uses humor as a defense mechanism. And I remember being like not even 10 years old and going, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna apply that. I was definitely more of a Chandler. I embodied the Matthew Perry personality. As I was getting older, I definitely morphed into more of Chandler and into a Ross. Now, recently, I'm pretty sure I'm more of a Joey without the crazy sex life. I'm definitely more of a Joey kind of personality, which, you know what? He got his own spinoff. So as much as he might be the stupid one on the show, whatever. Matt LeBlanc, he's killing it on TV still. Kind of. Joey was canceled. Anything Friends related, I'm just excited to watch. I'm excited for the reunion, especially. Let's hope all of them are there, because there was one reunion a few years back, but Matthew Perry wasn't able to be there because he was doing some play, I think, in London. This time around, all of them should be there. Even though I own all the DVDs, whenever I end up watching Friends, it is through some type of streaming service. Thank you, Honest Trailers, for putting this together. Anything Friends related is always a joy for me to watch. It's funny, when there's already so much character exposition in a show, all they gotta do is kind of highlight that and repeat what the show's already saying as a breakdown of the characters instead of having to make jokes about it. There should be a movie in the future that's the way they had it at Mary Tyler Moore show. Then they did that drama Lou Grant. They should do that, but with Ross and Rachel, where it's like Marriage Story with Ross and Rachel. That would make the fans really happy. All right, guys, well, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to The Real Rejects. Click that notification bell to get notified whenever we got a new YouTube video up. Subscribe to Screen Junkies if you haven't done so already. And hey, last but not least, Daniel Gallagher, our friend from Scotland. You know what hit me recently? Is that we've been chatting on and off for 2-3 years now. I realized I don't really know that much about you. If you go through our messages on Patreon, we have monologues going back and forth, but they're usually pop culture movie related. I know that you're in Scotland. I know that Batman was filmed near you. I know you like a lot of movies and shows. I know you work in the pharmaceutical industry, but I don't really know much about you as an individual, and we're even friends on Facebook. So, dude, if you happen to catch a shout out, I'm using this to encourage you to be more of a real friend in my life and let me know a little bit more about your personal life. That way I could expose it here on the channel and get you canceled. Internet police coming your way, Daniel.